So I'd like to welcome the panelists onto the stage. We have Westcott, Head of Business Development at Betgenius. We have Vahe, who's the former CEO and Strategic Advisor at Betconstruct, and Javier Manceñido, who's the VP of Sales at Optima. I've got one more. Okay. For the dual purpose.
Mine works, Tom.
Pardon? Yeah, but you can share it. Okay, so this sort of does what it says on the tin. This session. What we're looking at here is in a maturing market, one of the most important products, and what will drive success within that. So when it comes to sports betting, there's some major market leaders. There is the opportunity for new licensees, a changing landscape, more competition. In general, it's fair to say that the product set is not up to where other mature markets are. And so this panel is quite interesting because I don't think any of us would really claim to be experts on the Spanish market. But what we have got from a kind of expertise point of view is a very international view and a very kind of product-focused technological point of view. And I think actually for this particular discussion, it should work really well. So we're going to test whether the mics work now. If I can just start with you, Will, introduce yourself, tell a bit about your role in the business and the company, and I'll move down the line like that.
Certainly. The lights are quite nice because it makes it feel that people are still here. Yeah, so my name is Will Westcott. I work for Betgenius in the commercial side, and along with the product as well. As a business, I'm hoping the majority of you are aware of what Betgenius do, but we work with operators worldwide in regulated markets to provide sportsbook solutions. So when I say sportsbook solutions, everything you'd need from pre-match to in-play in terms of event creation, pricing, data, risk management, the whole kind of suite of products, if you like, in order to run a sportsbook. On top of that, we also have a digital marketing section of the business for the last 15 years or so, where we work with operators to attract, engage and retain customers through programmatic campaigns and display, etc. So yeah, as Tom said, from my side, hopefully we can bring a good perspective from a supplier's side. So yeah, so Javier.
I'm Javier Manceñido. I am working from Optima. Optima is a Spanish company. It's a technological company who provides a platform solution, but not just a platform, we want to be the technological partner from the operators, try to solve this part of the business, to give freedom to concentrate in the core business operation. And we provide IT management, developments, trainings, and so on. But basically, our platform is better known in the market.
Bye.
My name is Vahe Baloulian. I'm with Betconstruct. Betconstruct is all-in-one gaming and betting platform that has all the verticals that you need. We're also a data company providing sport data to operators. We operate around the world with around 16 offices worldwide and serving hundreds of operators.
Okay, thank you very much. Has this gone off again now? Okay. Sorry. Okay, so I just want to start off with limited time, straight into a question. In your experience in working in other markets internationally, how does Spain compare from a competition point of view, and more specifically, what does increased competition mean for the existing operators in the market? And I suppose I'm not talking about Bet365 and William Hill. I'm talking about the rest of the market, and how you've seen that affect other markets around the world.
Okay. We give freedom to the operators, and we give them we're a very customer-centric company. So whatever they request, we give it to them. But when you look at the Spanish market, it's I think it's kind of a situation where it's very leisurely now, because the growth is provided. For now, everything is growing, so the operators are not doing much to differentiate themselves. They're running the same bonuses, running the same events, and they kind of copycatting each other, or they're just repeating what they know from other markets. With the new competition, I think that will change, and they would have to realize that, and even the big ones, Bet365, William Hill, I mean, we've seen very well-known brands not performing very well in many markets, and big brands disappearing or being swallowed by others. So the same is going to happen here if they don't wake up and realize that they have to be different from the others. It's like one grandfather used to say, be unique like nobody else, don't be unique like everybody else, when the kids, you know, paint their hair in the same color and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually, because when you look at other markets, when people do anything that's new or different, it's copied within weeks. So something that can be unique is not unique in this industry for very long whatsoever. So I think that's a good point.
I think following on from what Vahe said, it's really interesting. You know, one of Mauro's graphs earlier with who was doing well in the market, and all the big guys who were doing well had one thing in common, which was regards to product. And you mentioned differentiating yourself in the market, but how are these guys going to do that? And you can't just say, right, there's clearly a number of events that Bet365 are offering, and across all sports, etc. And you, as a smaller business, let's say domestic businesses here, and there are a lot of them doing really well in the retail space, Cadere, Reta, etc., Luckier. But if you go into the online space and there's so much content, how do you do that? And I think from our side, what we've seen would be it's like smart differentiation. So by that I mean you're localizing your offering, and whether that be through sport, you know, like padel or whatever it might be, or leagues or different competitions, but you have to be smart around what you're offering and when you're offering it. So I think that's one of the things we've seen a lot of our work internally within Betgenius has been, you know, looking at content, and this the whole way that the industry is going in terms of acquiring content and getting leagues and federations and data, as opposed to just going and getting loads of football on a Saturday at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. local time here. You need to get the right content, and then as an operator, it's up to you to choose from this. There's so much stuff out there. You know, there's us, Betconstruct. There's a lot of data out there. There's a lot of big numbers that people fly out. You've got to be able to choose that content and use that to align it with, you know, your marketing strategy. And it's being smart around differentiation, I think, rather than just trying to compete with 365, with Hills, in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Javier.
Yeah. From my point of view, is review the basics. From a technological provider, I think it's very important to have a strong product, to offer a very good user experience, to have a platform with high availability. It's not allowed to have 2 hours out of order on a Saturday. It's not possible if you want to compete in the big leagues. You have to rethink what kind of product you are offering. Of course, the content is important, but you must to rethink the basic of the business, the core of the business. The technological part is fundamental from my point of view.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's an issue of creativity. That's what I meant. You know, you can get all the products you want. You can get all the data you want. You can sign up with hundreds of companies and accumulate everything in your one product. But what do you do with it? The creativity, you know, not looking at what others do, but keep thinking. That's what I meant.
And have any of you seen any examples of operators doing that in other markets around the world, whether it's with your businesses or elsewhere, where you've seen some creativity and something that's cut through from a product point of view, cut through the noise? And perhaps someone in Spain.
My best example would be Paddy Power, which would always stand out from others until they became too corporate and kind of tied up with their hands up and opened the museum with their tricks, but they don't do it anymore, I guess. So there are a lot of companies that, I mean, in the early days of gaming, you could see a lot more of them, because probably not everything was already done, and creativity was a lot easier. But also creativity from supplier side with their product, with offerings that allow the operator to differentiate himself. And then how they do it, that's a different story. But the suppliers also have to be creative, and not just creative with the names and announcements, but really create products that would help operator differentiate himself. Because we see a lot of catchy slogans and a lot of advertising, but when you look at the bottom, it's the same product. It's just eye-catching information, but the operator is still standing empty-handed. So from supplier side, it applies to all of us. We have to also own up to this game and bring more products. I mean, we do in our own way, and I'm sure everyone is thinking that way, but there is never ending, it's never ends. You always have to be creative.
I think every operator must tell their own story as operator, because we could create the product the operator wants, but we must to know what exactly the operator needs or wants, or what is their strategy. We are a provider, and of course we support them and we advise them, but every operator must to create the unique path for them. Your business model
we only
is
the
completely
tools.
different.
We provide
Yes,
the
exactly.
tools, but we also can help them, nudge them in certain directions based on the experience that you asked in the beginning. What's our experience in different markets? They operate in certain places. We supply to around the world. So
It's kind of the nature of the nature of a turnkey offering, right? Like it's to an extent off the shelf, and then are you saying that it's kind of the emphasis on the operator to tell you what is needed, the layer on top of that to make it different and unique? So operators need to be thinking strategically and creatively.
We are experts in different fields, and we as a platform provider, we could create the tailor-made solution for every operator, but we need the input, what exactly they want, what is their business plan, what are their horizon for the investment, what,
of course, yeah.
What markets, or which market, sorry, which content. So we work for them.
I think that's exactly right. We can give them all the products and be extremely innovative in that sense, and even going back to the basic things such as pre-match and in-play. But let's say, for example, you give someone an in-play product and then they've got these great creative bonuses and kind of sign-up offers. They have to then match their trading strategy to that, and they need to input and be pretty hands-on. If you're going to compete with Bet365, who have 500-600 traders, you need to use the products and the tools that we're giving you to get involved. Get involved, start aligning your different strategies. Risk management, for example, some people might outsource that, whatever you might do, but that's harness that information. We're giving you the tools to say, right, this is your customers. We let you factor and profile customers, but then use that information to then target people at the right time with the right message and the right person, essentially, right? So it's all of the tools that we give people, but you can give everyone everything they need to do, but they really need to get involved to maximise that opportunity, if you know what I'm saying.
Is it too far to say that a lot of operators maybe got a license early on in the market with the thought that actually they don't need to do that much? They'll just get a turnkey solution and put a brand on it and thank you very much, show me the money kind of thing?
I think you definitely can go to market with that, but as the market matures and this is about competition, you need to be able to utilise that, and you need to have the expertise, and businesses like ours and many others in here, will be hands-on in helping and working with these businesses. But I think you can't just be a marketing mule these days. You have to be very, very, or have the appetite at least to have an element of control over your sportsbook, is my opinion.
Yeah.
I think what you asked was happening, but it was about 15 years, 20 years ago. In this situation nowadays, it's impossible. I think if somebody thinks that he'll just get a white label and he'll just leave it there and people will start and come betting, they should...
They'll disappear very quickly.
Yeah.
We have seen it in recent times, it does happen.
It's happening, it's always happening, but I think most of the people who go into business today, they realize what's at stake, what they have to do.
Yeah.
And the information available is some kind of money for the operators. So they must to exploit this information. We use Oracle BI in our system, and basically all the information is available to cross, to create the reports they want, to cross the figures they want, but they must to use it. They must to be hungry about to create information with data, because the data is in their system.
Yeah, yeah. Just want to move on to in-play specifically. We heard earlier that in-play was 60% of GGR, I believe, versus it was nearly 70% in Italy and 80% in the UK. There were reasons for that from a product point of view, we heard. But it's obviously an area where there's massive room for growth. Just interested to get the panel's thoughts on like where should the investment be from operators? How do they, again, compete with the likes of Bet365 and so on? So I think it's a product area that needs some attention.
For sure, I think it goes back to, you look at the number of events that are available, and there is a lot of events available, but again, it's around when you're consuming those events as an operator, being creative around the market types you're offering, can you differentiate to your competitors, and then localizing that to, there's some guys not in the Spanish market, but who may, sponsor local teams or have relationships with these leagues, but they may not be offering maybe, 4 or 5 markets in play on said league. So it's really important that, I keep mentioning aligning it, but if you're going to embrace in play, you need to do it, and you can't have a half-hearted attempt at it, in my opinion. But there's a lot out there, I think content is key. And as I said, there's a lot of content available. It's how you harness that content and be smart around what you offer, because you go on a site, it can be extremely congested. The content has to be good quality. By good quality, I mean really, really accurate, really reliable, and then ultimately speed is everything within play, right? If you don't have, good speed and good latency with your in-play data, ultimately what happens is it becomes an extremely frustrating user experience for someone in play, especially when you look at other sports such as quite granular sports, tennis, basketball, where it's very stop-start. You need to have really, really good and accurate data in order to offer a good product from a trading perspective, if you want a good margin, but more so from a marketing and engagement perspective on site. If what I would refer to as a grey period where markets are suspended, you go on Bet365, that doesn't happen. If you as an operator are offering something you don't have reliability or accuracy in the data, then you're going to lose out from an actual margin trading perspective, but also from customer engagement and retention as well.
Yeah. Any thoughts, guys?
I agree absolutely. And in Spanish market, as already been mentioned, I think their hands are tied with this depositing issue, and they cannot deposit during in-play. And that's an impulsive part of the business. Probably that's why they don't allow them. But then it's a nanny-state situation where they decide what the player can do and he can control himself or not. So unless they remove that, it doesn't matter how I know that I don't always keep money in the account. I don't always think that this game would be very interesting, and then I see it and I want to do it and I can't. So in Spanish market, unless they remove this, it's going to be always not as competitive as in UK and other markets.
I think on that point it goes back to what Javier said earlier, the fundamentals of, I look at that and I always think, well, there's a pre-match offering here. If you have customers who are, first half totals or over-unders, if your pre-match service essentially isn't resulting and settling these markets until the end of the fixture, then of course you're in kind of in trouble in the sense that people don't have money in their wallet, etc. But if, for example, you can result real time from your pre-match provider, then people might make their pre-match bet, and then from that it naturally grows into an in-play bet. So I think, again, going back to the fundamentals of your offering, if you can, combat that issue, then I think there's real growth for it. So again, as Javier said, the basics, it's really important to get them right, because again, you mentioned the big guys. I guarantee they're paying out as soon as that you're over 1.5 goals in your first half pre-match bet, and then you can start betting in play. So it's really, really key to do the basics right, and from there, I think in play will flourish.
Yeah, Javier, any thoughts on in play and what operators should be looking at?
Again, basically, we understand they are the experts of the content, and we give the freedom to the operator to choose what is the best option for them. So in Spanish is zapatero tus zapatos, no? They are the expert in content. We are the experts in platforms, so we integrate their content or so on.
Okay, it's sort of the in-play question leads on quite nicely into innovations and product innovation specifically. We've seen a kind of I wouldn't say an influx, but there's been there's been a few interesting products around micro markets and same game accumulators and so on over the past probably only sort of 6-12 months, something like that. I just wondered whether any of the panel have got any insights into the success of those products, whether they work, whether they're profitable, what else could be coming around the corner that could be part of Betconstruct's offering, or any thoughts on those kind of those new things that are coming to market?
I mean, we're always working on new things, and usually for us the year starts with ICE, where we demonstrate everything. So it's not going to be.
Come on, there. What are you sharing?
It's not going to be any different
coming?
This year. With it became everybody's using the same things, but it's as well, just like Reis pointed out. In Malta we just introduced Fast Token, which is going to be all-in-one blockchain-based gaming solution. Also, we were introducing the artificial intelligence-based data tracking and game tracking solutions. But also, I don't know how it's going to work in Spanish market, but it's quite successful. BetCloud, which we introduced a couple of years ago in Berlin during EIG. God bless its soul. It's not anymore. So those products, we don't innovate just to innovate. We really have to believe in what we're doing, because there's always this rush to announce new products, new things, and we're innovating. Everyone is a leading innovator if you look at the descriptions of the companies. So unless you really believe in what you're doing and you believe that it's really going to benefit your customers, then it makes sense, and usually it's a successful product when you do it. When you do it just to throw out and say, well, we did this and we did that, it's just a flash in the pan and then it's gone.
I agree.
I think Matt Power.
Can you share?
Hello. Yeah, from our side, so things like Bet Builder have been really, really good, and in terms of the success rate of those, they're extremely high margin products, right? But again, it goes back to, if we look at it, and a few of my customers have launched in various different markets, it's very much an educational process. I think going back to what Vahe said, if you innovate for the sake of innovating, if you like, you need to listen to what the customer wants. And it's a lot of the time for us as a business, it's very much an educational process between the customer and us. So we have the product, and it might start looking like a square, for example, and by the time as we're integrating, it ends up very much circular, because they want certain things and payment methods come into play, platforms, etc. So there's lots of exciting things that we have going on, and everything really is geared to do what we said at the beginning and help the operator differentiate themselves in the market, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's a two-way process. We can be as proactive as we like, but we're not the operator. A lot of the time, you'll speak to the operators, and they might have certain ideas, and as a partner, we can work with them. We have the content, we have the data, we have the developers, we have the experience to work with them to produce unique and innovative products. But I think innovation's not just on specific sports betting. There's a lot of stuff that happens on the platform side of things. BetCloud, for example. So there's loads of people to go at. It's just, again, you have to pick your niche and then work with the provider that you're working with to ensure that becomes a successful investment for you as a business.
Yeah, and I guess Spain will follow in the same footsteps as elsewhere, where these products that are new and innovative, a couple of operators have them, and then they become like a hygiene factor. Everybody has to have them. Everybody knows how to use them. It was the same with cash out. Like it just took off, and within a year, the majority of operators had them. So this is where Spain will go.
Sorry. Sometimes innovations appear in a different way. As an example, one African client have a problem in the mobile channel. So we develop a solution to run in 2G phones, because in Africa it's a problem. And they multiply by 4 the revenues in the mobile channel. So innovation could appear in different ways.
It's always a learning process. We always have to learn. They are on the field, they're operating. We'll look at them. I mean, we're like, in a way, we also have an operator that we sometimes use as a guinea pig. Whatever we create first, we run it through them to make sure we're not going to screw anybody's life. So we take the hit. But yeah, it's a constant learning process, like everything in life. The moment you realize you know everything, you're screwed big time.
Yeah, yeah. And the final topic I want to cover, because we need to get out of here pretty soon, is the concept a personalised sports betting experience. And I'm not pretending that every operator is at the point where they have the capabilities or even the will to try and offer something personal for every customer. But that seems to be where the industry is going, in the same way that other e-commerce industries are going. And some of the work that Mr. Green have done on the responsible gaming side was actually surfacing completely different content based on how they were segmented as a player. A, do you think that that's where sports betting will go, and from a sort of CRM perspective? B, how easy is it, and do you have any thoughts on what's going on? You know, any of your products that are kind of tapping into that at the moment?
Well, it's going to be part of where sports betting is going. We experimented with biometrics with a company that could read the players' impulses and stuff like that, and we're still experimenting. And also, as we use artificial intelligence unit, which we have within the company, to do exactly what you described, when they learn the behavior of the player and try to personalize not just the offers, saying, you know, you like this, now you will like that, Amazon type, but going deeper than that, using all the data that, as you mentioned, we collect. We're sitting on a treasure of data, and if we start to really learn how to monetize it and how to use it for the benefit of the player, then it will be personalized offer. But I don't believe that, you know, every player will receive this personalization, because just to do that, you have to have this player for a long time and you have to know him. It has to be part of your system for a while.
Yeah, in a way, it would solve even the segmentation part of it. Would solve the issue of having so much content available. You know, there's so much, if you know, for a customer to look through and to find what they want to bet on, if it's not searchable, that, you know, the personalization and using their data to surface the right content would solve that issue.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation. Yesterday, actually, there was an article in New York Times about the limits of artificial intelligence. How doesn't matter how, I mean, we still haven't gotten to the point when we can replace a human. So if a customer service or a trader or whoever deals with the customer can look at the punter and understand certain things, today our AI cannot do it to the level that we feel this person, we understand, and we learn certain things that the system cannot learn. So in that sense, I think we're a certain time away, but it's going in that direction.
I think what you were saying around, around, you know, the content and the personalization of it, I guess where I can fit in here from a product specific kind of side of things is trading is more where the expertise lie here. So you have all this trading side, and I was with a client in Portugal 2 days ago where they're not allowed to factor clients. So they've got an issue, you know, where they've got repeat winners, etc. But what you can do from harnessing this data, and I've seen the Optima system where they use Oracle BI, and you can see each individual player, each bet, market type by market type, the whole across different competitions, games, etc., as granular as you'd want to go, really under a microscope, right? But you can then use this information to not necessarily personalize, but push customers down certain routes. So you may have a customer who's doing extremely well on football, but you could get them involved in basketball, for example. So I think personalizing on an individual customer by customer basis is going to be very, very difficult right now for the market, but you can definitely kind of start to push certain trends, whether that be in play, pre-match, whatever it might be, by using and embracing that information that naturally you have just through them placing a bet. But yeah, so there's all sorts of things you can do.
Yeah, and engaging them from a kind of marketing perspective as well, in that sense, is a big part of it.
Yeah, I think that's something at Betgenius that we've done recently with regards to our risk management. So as opposed to managing the risk on a fairly holistic point of view, we look on a customer by customer level, and then from there we pass through to the digital marketing side of things, where you can then start to look at different kind of programmatic avenues, if you like, of maybe bet slip retargeting as well, of looking at customers, profiling them, and then, as I said previously, you know, right message, right time, right person. But that doesn't necessarily have to mean that, okay, this customer only bets on football on Saturdays. It could mean that you're then doing a different marketing campaign to try and gain them on Mondays or whatever it might be. So there's a whole host of clever things you can do around using that information to then drive and align your trading strategy with your marketing strategy as well.
Interesting. Okay, we are pretty much out of time. I feel like we've rushed through loads of stuff there. Hopefully we've covered a few bits of, shared some knowledge from these guys about some of the key things that sportsbooks need to be looking at, if not, going into it in lots of detail. But hopefully there's some nuggets there. Any questions on the floor before we wrap up? No. In that case, I'm going to pass back to Willem to sign off. And thank you all very, very much for listening today. I hope you found it valuable.